The law office of Harrison and Associates screamed old money, from its mahogany-paneled walls to the pretentious oil paintings of former partners. I sat in the leather chair outside the conference room, watching my siblings arrive one by one, each pointedly ignoring my presence. Michael came first in his custom Italian suit, already wearing the smug expression he'd perfected over 40 years as Dad's golden child. Then came Elizabeth, dripping in designer labels, her diamond rings catching the light as she texted furiously on her phone. Finally, Thomas slouched in, trying to look like he hadn't just rolled out of bed despite his rumpled appearance. "Miss Carter." The receptionist's voice was apologetic. "Mr. Harrison says the reading is for heirs only." I could feel my siblings' satisfied smirks without even looking at them. This was exactly what they'd expected, what they'd probably arranged. "Funny thing about that," I said, rising smoothly and gathering my briefcase. "I have an appointment with Mr. Harrison." "Sarah," Michael's condescending voice cut in, "don't make this more embarrassing than it needs to be. We all know Dad cut you out years ago." Ah yes, the famous cutting out. All because I'd refused to join the family real estate business, choosing instead to start my own company. Dad had been furious, declaring I was no longer his daughter. Little did he know what I'd been building while they weren't watching. "Actually," I replied, checking my watch, "I'm right on time for my 10 a.m. The conference room door opened and James Harrison himself stepped out. His eyes widened slightly when he saw me, but he maintained his professional demeanor. "Miss Carter, thank you for coming. Please all of you come in." Michael's face darkened. "Jim, she's not supposed to be here." Dad was very clear about Dash. "About his will, yes," Harrison interrupted smoothly. "But Miss Carter has some relevant information we need to discuss first." I followed them into the conference room, taking a seat directly opposite my siblings. The leather chair creaked as I set my briefcase on the polished table. "Before we begin the reading," Harrison said, "Miss Carter has requested a few minutes to present some documents." "This is ridiculous," Elizabeth snapped, finally looking up from her phone. "We all know Sarah was disinherited. She's just trying to cause trouble like always." I smiled, pulling out a stack of folders. "Actually, Liz, I'm here to save everyone some time. You see, before we get into what Dad left in his will, we should probably discuss what he actually owned when he died." Thomas frowned, his perpetual hangover apparently making it hard to follow. "What are you talking about? Dad owned everything: the apartment buildings, the office complexes, the shopping centers." "Did he?" I started laying out documents on the table. "Because these property deeds tell a different story." Michael grabbed the nearest folder, his face going pale as he read. This can't be right." "Oh, but it is," I said, continuing to arrange papers. "You see, while you were all busy running Dad's company into the ground, I was quietly buying up his properties. One by one, through shell companies and investment groups. Did none of you ever wonder why your biggest competitors were suddenly these mysterious corporate entities?" Elizabeth was frantically flipping through documents now, her perfectly manicured nails trembling. "The Riverside Apartments, the Maxwell Office Park, the Highland Shopping Complex. These all belong to Carter Investment Group," I finished for her. "My company. Well, companies technically. I have several." "But that's impossible," Michael sputtered. "Those are billion-dollar properties." "Yes, they are," I agreed. "And they've been mine for years. Dad was so busy being angry at me for not joining the family business he never noticed I was building my own. A much more successful one, as it turns out." Harrison cleared his throat. "This is why I agreed to this meeting. Miss Carter now owns approximately 85% of what you all thought was your inheritance." The silence in the room was deafening. Thomas had finally stopped looking hungover and was now just looking sick. "When," he whispered. "How? Remember when Dad started having cash flow problems 3 years ago? When he had to start selling properties to keep the company afloat?" I leaned back in my chair. "Who did you think was buying them?" "It started with the Riverside Apartments," I continued, enjoying their stunned expressions. "Dad was so proud of never selling to major corporations, always dealing with local investors. He never bothered to check that Highland Investment Partners was actually my company. Then came Maxwell Office Park through Summit Enterprises, also mine. By the time I bought the Highland Shopping Complex, he was practically giving properties away. But the family business, Michael stammered. Is basically just a management company now, I finished. Managing properties that belong to me. Congratulations, you've all been working for me for the past 3 years. Elizabeth's face had gone from shock to calculating. Typical Liz, always looking for an angle. Daddies will can challenge these sales, she said. We can prove you took advantage. No, Harrison interrupted, you can't. I reviewed all the transactions personally. They were completely legitimate fair market value sales. Ms. Carter simply had better business acumen than. He paused diplomatically, other parties involved. Did Dad know? Thomas asked quietly. At the end, I felt a flicker of emotion quickly suppressed. Yes. I told him 2 weeks before he died. Would you like to know what he said? They leaned forward despite themselves. He laughed, I said softly. Actually laughed. Said he should have known the daughter who refused to join his company would be the one to beat him at his own game. Michael's face had turned an interesting shade of purple. This is a trick. Some kind of manipulation. Would you like to see the bank transfers? I offered, pulling out more documents. The property assessments? The current rental income statements? I have it all here. While you 3 were playing at being real estate moguls, I was building an actual empire. But you run a tiny investment firm. Elizabeth protested. That little office downtown is the headquarters of a multi-billion-dollar corporation, I corrected. Just because I don't feel the need to show off doesn't mean I'm not successful. Something Dad finally understood right before the end. Harrison cleared his throat again. Perhaps now would be a good time to read the will? I nodded, settling back to watch the show. To my children Michael, Elizabeth, and Thomas, Harrison read, I leave my remaining business interests in properties, which, as Ms. Carter has demonstrated, consists mainly of the management company and a few smaller properties. My siblings sat in stunned silence as Harrison continued. To my daughter Sarah, I could feel their shock at hearing my name. I leave my private art collection and personal properties along with an apology. You proved me wrong, and I've never been happier to be wrong in my life. Elizabeth's phone slipped from her hand, clattering on the table. The art collection? But that's worth more than what's left of the business? I smiled. Yes, I know. Ironic, isn't it? This can't be legal, Michael declared, standing up. I'm calling our lawyers. Feel free, I said, gathering my documents. Though you might want to check the management company's contracts first. All those properties you've been managing? Those contracts are up for renewal next month. The threat hung in the air. Without those management contracts, their company would be worth practically nothing. You wouldn't, Thomas said. We're family. Family. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Was it family when you all supported Dad cutting me out? When you mocked my little investment firm? When you spread rumors in the industry about my competence? I stood, straightening my jacket. But you're right. We are family. Which is why I'm offering you all jobs working for me. Real positions, no nepotism. You'll start at entry level like everyone else. Entry level? Elizabeth looked like she might faint. But we have experience. No, I corrected. You have practice at spending Dad's money. Now you can learn how to actually earn it. Harrison was trying to hide a smile behind his hand. He'd watched this family's drama unfold for 30 years. This must be better than television for him. The management contracts, Michael said, his voice hollow. How much? Let's discuss it next week. My office, 9 a.m. Monday. Don't be late. I'm not as forgiving as Dad was about tardiness. As I walked to the door, I paused. Oh, and Elizabeth? That penthouse apartment you live in? The one Dad gave you for your wedding? The rent's going up. Market rates, you understand. Business is business. The last thing I heard as I left was Thomas's weak voice. Does anyone else feel like we've been playing Monopoly while she was playing chess? In the elevator, I finally let myself feel everything I'd been suppressing. Dad's last words to me played in my head. I was wrong, Sarah. So wrong. You didn't reject the family business. You reinvented it. My phone buzzed, a text from Mycio. How'd it go? Just as expected, I replied. Tell HR to prepare 3 entry-level training packages. And contact building management at Elizabeth's penthouse. Time to adjust the rent to market rate. Another buzz. Ruthless. I love it. Lunch to celebrate. Can't, I texted back. Meeting with the art appraiser about Dad's collection. Apparently he had better taste than his children. Stepping out into the sunshine, I took a deep breath. The city skyline spread out before me, half the buildings owned by my companies. Not bad for the daughter they'd written off as a failure. My phone buzzed again, Michael trying to call. I declined it, sending a quick text. All business matters through proper channels. Monday 9 a.m. Don't forget to bring your resume. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's rising so far above them they can't even see you anymore. And sometimes, the greatest legacy isn't what you inherit, but what you build while everyone else is waiting for their inheritance. Dad understood that in the end. Now it was time for my siblings to learn the same lesson, the hard way. As I drove back to my office, my real office, not the small front they all knew about, I couldn't help but smile. Monday morning would be interesting. Very interesting indeed. After all, nothing teaches humility quite like realizing the sister you dismissed as a failure has been your landlord all along. Let the lessons begin. The message from my stepmother lit up my phone screen as I sat in my Manhattan office, 60 floors above the city. After discussing with your father, we've decided you're no longer welcome at Crystal Cove Resort. Your behavior at the charity gala was embarrassing. Your membership has been revoked. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. The behavior she referred to was me exposing how the charity foundation they ran was spending less than 2% on actual charitable works. The rest funded their lavish lifestyle at Crystal Cove, their precious, exclusive resort in the Hamptons. My executive assistant, James, knocked and entered with my afternoon coffee. Miss Chin, the banking division reports are ready for your review. Thank you, James. I accepted the coffee, still looking at the text. Tell me, how long have my father and Diana been members at Crystal Cove? 15 years, he replied promptly. Since shortly after your father married her. They maintain the presidential suite year-round. I nodded, remembering the day they'd kicked me out of that same suite when I was 17. Diana had decided she needed it for her wellness retreats. Really just excuse for her friends to drink champagne and gossip about their stepchildren. My phone buzzed again. Security has been notified. Don't embarrass yourself by trying to enter. The corner of my mouth twitched. Diana had no idea that 3 months ago, Chin Financial Holdings, my company, had quietly acquired the entire Sterling Properties portfolio, including Crystal Cove Resort, through a complex series of transactions. I'd kept the acquisition private, maintaining the Sterling name while restructuring the company from within. Not even the resort management knew their paychecks now came from my accounts. I'd planned to reveal my ownership at the next board meeting, but Diana's text changed everything. James, I said, opening my laptop, please pull up the Sterling Properties Management interface. And get me live security feeds from Crystal Cove. Right away, Ms. Chin. His fingers flew across his tablet. Multiple screens lit up on my office wall, showing various areas of the resort. There they were. My father and Diana, enjoying couples massages in the spa's premium suite. She was sipping champagne while complaining to her massage therapist about ungrateful stepdaughters who don't know their place. They're using their Platinum Elite membership cards for the services, James reported. Current tab for today, $2,800. I smiled, fingers hovering over my keyboard. Let's see how they like having their access revoked mid-massage. Ms. Chen, James said carefully, would you like me to prepare the usual press release for management changes? No, I replied, beginning to type. This time I want to handle it personally. The system prompt appeared on my screen. Confirm membership status change? I thought about all the family events I'd been excluded from, all the times Diana had made it clear I wasn't resort material, despite my Yale MBA and growing success in finance. The final straw had been discovering they were using the charity foundation to fund their lifestyle while denying grants to actually needy students. Sometimes, I said, hitting the enter key, karma needs a little help. The message went out to all Sterling Properties terminals. Attention all Sterling Properties. Effective immediately, the Anderson family's access is revoked. On the security feed, I watched as Diana's spa room door chimed, indicating her membership card had just stopped working. The show was about to begin. The spa's security feed provided a deliciously clear view as Diana's electronic wristband flashed red at the massage room's charging station. Her therapist's tablet simultaneously displayed, "Payment method declined." "There must be some mistake," Diana's voice crackled through the feed. She sat up, clutching the massage table's sheet to her chest. "Run it again." The therapist tried once more. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Anderson, but your membership appears to have been suspended. All services are immediately terminated." In the adjacent room, my father's massage also ground to a halt. Through the security feed, I watched him fumble for his phone, face reddening. "This is ridiculous. I'm calling management." "James," I said quietly, "patch their call to my direct line." Moments later, my office phone rang. I put it on speaker. "This is Richard Anderson. There's some problem with our Platinum Elite membership. Fix it immediately." "Good afternoon, Father," I said smoothly. "I'm afraid your membership hasn't experienced a technical error. It's been permanently revoked." Silence. Then, "Emily. The one you banned an hour ago," I confirmed. "Though as the new owner of Sterling Properties, I find it interesting that you thought you had that authority." More silence. In the security feed, I watched Diana frantically wrapping herself in a robe, her perfectly maintained facade cracking. "Owner," she finally sputtered. "That's impossible. Sterling Properties is owned by Chin Financial Holdings," I interrupted. "For the past 3 months, actually. We acquired the entire portfolio, including Crystal Cove Resort, the Hampton Marina Club, and all 18 golf courses. Check your phone. The press release is going live now." On screen, I watched both of them scrambling for their phones. The news alerts were impossible to miss. Sterling Properties acquired by Chin Financial, Emily Chin, 32, revealed AS Newsio. "You can't do this," Diana hissed. "Your father and I are founding members. We have contracts." "Had contracts," I corrected. "Section 8, Paragraph 3 of your membership agreement gives management the right to terminate for cause. Would you like me to cite your violations? Starting with the Charity Foundation fraud." My father's voice turned conciliatory. "Now, Emily, let's discuss this reasonably. Perhaps over dinner." "In the presidential suite?" I asked innocently. "I'm afraid that won't be possible. I've already donated it to the National Merit Scholars Program. They'll be using it for actual charitable purposes, housing scholarship recipients during college visits." Through the feed, I watched Diana sink into a spa chair, her perfectly styled hair coming undone. "All our things are in that suite," she whispered. "Yes," I agreed. "Security is boxing them up now. You have 1 hour to collect your belongings before they're donated to the domestic violence shelter you refused to fund last month." "Emily," my father tried again, "you're making a mistake. The board won't stand for." "The board that I appointed 3 months ago?" I pulled up another screen. "They're in my conference room right now, reviewing the Charity Foundation's books. The SEC is particularly interested in those administrative expenses you've been claiming." The security feed showed Diana's face draining of color as realization set in. Every luxury weekend, every spa treatment, every gourmet meal they'd charged to the foundation was documented. And I had all the receipts. 1 hour, I repeated. Tick-tock. The spa manager appeared on screen, holding their now deactivated membership cards. "Mr. and Mrs. Anderson? I'll need to escort you to collect your belongings." I watched as my father and stepmother, still in their spa robes, were led through the lobby they'd once ruled like royalty. Other members, the ones who'd faced Diana's social snubs for years, didn't bother hiding their phones as they recorded the spectacle. "James," I said, turning away from the screens, "please ensure all their membership privileges at our other properties are also terminated. Golf clubs, beach clubs, everything." "Already done, Ms. Chin," he replied. "Should I prepare the Charity Foundation audit for the SEC?" I smiled, watching Diana trip in her spa slippers as she rushed to the elevator. "Oh no, let's give them time to really worry about what we might find. After all, karma works best when it's served cold." 1 month later, I sat in the newly renovated presidential suite, now transformed into a scholarship student welcome center. The opulent gold fixtures Diana had installed were gone, replaced by clean modern designs and study spaces. Where there had once been a champagne bar, There now stood a coffee station and computer lab. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Anderson Family Charity Foundation under federal investigation. Below it was a more personal message. Diana's 6th attempt at damage control this week. Emily, please. The country club is threatening to revoke our membership. The Greenwich House is underwater without the foundation's payments. Can't we discuss this? I swiped it away, turning instead to the student applications spread across my desk. 20 brilliant kids who would never have had a chance under the old regime. Their acceptance letters to the new Sterling Scholars Program were ready for my signature. Miss Chin. James appeared at the door. Your father is in the lobby. Again. I glanced at the security feed. There he stood in his $1,000 suit, now looking slightly worn at the edges. Amazing what a month without foundation-funded wardrobe allowances could do. Send him up, I said. It's time we had a proper conversation. When he entered, I saw the exact moment he registered the changes to his former sanctuary. The Baroque paintings replaced by student artwork. Diana's prized crystal collection replaced by academic awards and scholarship plaques. The place looks different, he managed. Functional, I corrected. Like a legitimate charitable foundation should be. He sank into a chair looking older than his 60 years. Emily, about the foundation. The SEC has the files, I interrupted. All of them. The fake receipts, the inflated expenses, the personal charges coded as administrative costs. 15 years of fraud, documented in Diana's own meticulous handwriting. We can make this right, he pleaded. Whatever you want. I want you to look at these, I said, sliding forward 5 student files. Maria Rodriguez. Works 3 jobs to support her siblings. Perfect SAT scores. James Chin, no relation. Teaches himself coding between night shifts at his parents' restaurant. Sarah Williams. What are these? The first recipients of actual charitable grants from the foundation. Kids who deserve a chance. Kids like I was, before you let Diana convince you I wasn't worthy of your social circle. He flinched. That was different. No, it wasn't. I stood walking to the window overlooking the ocean. But it taught me something valuable. Success isn't about which clubs you belong to or who your parents are. It's about what you build, who you help, and how you use your power. And this is how you use yours. Destroying your family. I turned back to him. No, this is me building a new one. Every student who comes through this program will be part of the Sterling Scholars family. They'll have mentorship, support, and opportunities. Everything Diana made sure I didn't get. His phone buzzed. From his expression, I knew it was Diana. Probably discovering another locked door, another denied credit card, another social humiliation. The SEC investigation goes public next week, I said. You have 2 choices. Fight it, lose everything, and face federal charges. Or sign control of the foundation over to the independent board I've established, step down quietly, and keep enough assets to live comfortably, though not extravagantly. And Diana? Can keep her spa membership, I smiled. The basic one. No privileges, no suite access, no special treatment. Just like she gave me. He stared at the student files again, then at the transformed suite around him. Finally, he reached for the papers I'd placed on the desk. You really did it, didn't you? He said quietly. Built all this while we weren't looking. No, I corrected him. I built it while you were looking down on me. Turns out being underestimated is the greatest advantage of all. As he signed the transfer documents, I turned back to the window. Below, a group of scholarship students was touring the grounds, their futures as bright as the summer sun on the ocean. Karma's interesting, isn't it? I mused. Diana banned me from this place a month ago, thinking it was her kingdom. Now she can't even get past the front desk without my permission. He stood to leave, looking lost in his own former domain. Oh, and father? I called after him. Do give Diana my best. Tell her I've redecorated the spa's platinum suite too. It's a student study lounge now. Much better use of the space, don't you think? The door closed behind him and I returned to signing acceptance letters. Each one represented a life changed, a future brightened, and a very different kind of power than the one Diana had wielded. Sometimes karma needs a CEO's touch.